Lopez, and I'm out here in support of Nicholas Heyward because 21 years is too long to be fighting for justice. And I'm the nephew of John Collado. My uncle was killed in 2011 by the NYPD. My uncle was breaking up a fight between two individuals. One of them was an undercover police officer who never identified himself. And I'm out here in support of Nicholas Heyward because you know, no child, no person deserves to die, especially an innocent person. He was only a child, 13 years old, doing what a kid is supposed to be doing.
We think that Ken Thomapson's office and what he's done so far has been what should be done. The problem we're facing is that for 21 years, this case has been covered up. And as Chicago has shown with the Laquan McDonald case, the system is very capable of covering their tracks. And the problem we're having now is uncovering that. But the main thing we have is that this so-called weapon was a justification for the murder of an unarmed 13-year-old child. And that's the part that we think is the basis of a murder prosecution and indictment for murder in this case. We think that this is unequivocal proof that there was no fear on his part. And then there are witnesses who were never questioned by the police, who were there at the time.
100 blacks in law enforcement. Let me just say this, the brother really cares.
This is very disturbing to me. In sitting with Mr. Heyward and the team over the last couple of weeks, I've garnered information that I did not know of. The fact that this case was never presented to a grand jury is unfathomable. What Charles Hines did was really a great disservice. A district attorney is obligated to act on the behalf of the victim in every situation, regardless of who the perpetrator is, whether it's a police officer or a civilian. The DA is to advocate for the victim. It did not happen in this case. Today is the first day that I am seeing this toy. And if Roger were standing here with a shotgun in his hand, the police officers who were standing less than 100 feet from us would have been over here by now. I think they can recognize a real shotgun as opposed to a toy shotgun in the middle of downtown Brooklyn. And this is more than race. We have some systemic problems in our system. And one of the problems we're having is with regard to the cover-up that we believe was perpetrated with regard to Nicholas Heyward and in his death. I'm reviewing paperwork. I'm seeing things in paperwork done by detectives that is not proper in the handling of a case, which leads me to believe that knowingly and intentionally certain things were done or certain things were failed to have been done. Homicide has no statute of limitation, nor does murder. This man has been grieving for more than 20 years. His son was the same age as one of my sons at the time of his death. People are going through and suffering for years, long after the cameras have gone. People are suffering, and this is not a joke. And we need to place some real value on the lives of our children, our elders, on everybody. As a police officer, I chose to become a police officer. I was not drafted, I chose. And in doing the job, the police department cannot afford to protect the wrongs of their members and still seek to garner the assistance from the community in times of need. I am thankful that we have a DA in office now. It took more than 20 years to get the proper person in that position to even look at this case. And DA Thomapson, I believe, is the man that can do it. His team, as he stated, is looking into this case. We do have a problem in finding some of the material that NYPD has stored with regard to this case. All of the records are not yet accessible to the district attorney. So the district attorney is having a difficult time in moving forward with his investigation to get to the bottom of the case. And we are not saying, we're not coming forward and saying, this is an absolute murder. We want the DA to do his investigation. And then when he comes back with the full results, to render a determination as to what happened in this case. But if information is not accessible and has not been stored properly, cataloged, and preserved, then it does a disservice, not only in this case, but in every other case. But we have seen cases here in Brooklyn where DA Thomapson has looked at them, and individuals who were serving time for crimes for 15, 20 years have been released because they never should have been in prison in the first place. So crimes of omission and commission have been going on in the DA's office for decades. And we look forward to the resolution of this matter with DA Thomapson as his people investigate this matter with NYPD.
No father should have to wait 20 years to get justice. No father should have to wait 20 years. I've been working with Nicholas. I'm one of the attorneys for the Nicholas Heyward Foundation, which he set up in order to get justice. Family after family across the country is setting up foundations trying to get done with what little money they can get their hands on for what the power of the state should be able to do on its own. Since Nicholas Jr. was killed, we're going to estimate that between 8,000 and 20,000 people have been killed by police in the United States. You know why we have to give a range like that? Because the federal government does not require police departments to report the people that they killed. And so it's left up to voluntary information on whether they're going to do it or not. So today we presented a batch of evidence that was signed for that should have been at the fingertips of this division without us having to do it. And it's only the tenacity of Mr. Heyward that we were even able to draw these documents together and turn them over to. The other thing is that this would not have happened, and I know that I'm speaking to the people's media now because the rest of the media have left. But the reason why this is even possible is because of all of the movements that have taken place, especially over the last couple of years. We wouldn't have had a Ken Thomapson if it hadn't been for people who were out in the street trying to get justice around police brutality. And there wouldn't be a DA who empowers a division to not only go after these kinds of victims and their families, but also people who are criminalized by a band of bad, dirty, corrupt detectives that led to the creation of this division in the first place. So I'm calling on everybody within reach of us to stay in the streets. Don't say it's not going to do any good. When you see a father like this, there are a lot of people who are saying we don't want changes, we don't want those demands to be met, but this is the result. You see a father begin to get a step towards justice. So we're all for an ultimate solution, but we also have to do the incremental stuff on behalf of the families that are surviving.
Yeah.